Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big, weird, wild world out there, folks, and here we stand, al pie del cañón, ready for anything. I'm Rob, that's Dan, and you're listening to...
The ProBoh Show!
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's Thursday. We're over the hump, freewheeling downhill, cuesta abajo, without control towards the weekend, and of course, even more special for our beloved Dan, because he's on holiday next week. Still no plans though, right, Dan?
No.
Dude, do a little bit of the Camino. Why don't you do a little bit of the Camino? It's low cost. It's low cost. We were talking about exercise, weren't we? Me acaba de ocurrir. Why don't you do a little bit of the Camino?
I think that's something that needs to be planned.
Oh, you can do it. If me, like nearly a 50-year-old man, can do 900 kilometers, you can do it, dude. Even if it's just the 3 days from Sarria. I don't know. Let's give Dan some suggestions for his holidays, man. Poor guy. He's got 2 weeks off and no plans. Although, dude, we always say it, right? No plans are the best plans. You know, you play some video games, hang out.
Yes, but those are the best plans only for the first days.
Yeah, then you get bored and frustrated. So there you go. Give me your suggestions for Dan's holidays. Of course, you can do that in our live chat. And that's right, boys and girls. You can join us live, be as cool, as sexy, as intellectual, as impactful as our live audience by going to twitch.tv. That's twitch.tv/professional bohemian. And come and join us and have me be the conduits of your thoughts and ideas. You can also interact with the show on Instagram. That's @professionalbohemian, @professionalbohemian. Or, of course, if you're extra specially cool, sexy, charming, you want to vote on the unpopular opinions, or you want to see all the original series on there, or you want to watch these shows rather than just listen to them, you can do that there. All right, friends, all right. We should probably get into it, right? The Bridge is here. She's joining us live. Good morning, my beautiful Bonnie Bouncy Bohemians and Bouncy Bonnie Bob and darling dashing Dandy Dan the Radio Man. Sorry to say I'm still horizontal. I shouldn't be, but will presently be up and crushing. I just love not being in a hurry. Oh. Jealous. Jealousy is Rob-shaped. Vero says, good morning, beautiful Bohemians around the universe and beyond. Back home from the mini holidays. The heat is unbearable. Yes, it is. Yesterday was a hellscape. I imagine you slept pretty poorly last night, right, Dan?
Well, no, not really.
Oh, really? Oh, God, dude, I struggled yesterday. The least sleep I've gotten all week because of the heat. 23 degrees currently. We're going to be getting up to highs of 39 degrees today. That will continue, although tomorrow and Saturday just a couple of degrees cooler. I'm showing here temperatures of 37 degrees coming up. 39 today. Drink lots of water, stay hydrated, be safe, my beloved Bohemians. Let's see. Who else? I'm sorry that you're back, Vero. Methinks I have too much free time, says the Bridge. But she does have an idea for you, Dan. You have the eclipse. Why don't you make a plan to go and see the eclipse on the 12th?
Maybe. I think I can see it from my house.
Oh, really?
I think so, yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was thinking maybe on the afternoon of the 12th to go catch a train somewhere so I can see it. I was going to go to A Coruña, but I can't find anyone to watch my dog, so I'm screwed. Anyway. Carmen's with us. She says, good morning, my dear Bohemians, here, there, and everywhere. Good morning, Carmen. So if you want to join them, as many of you have, but only a few of you typing, what's going on with that? Come and say hello, friends. So if you want to join our audience, why not come and join us? twitch.tv twitch.tv/professional bohemian. That's Bohemio Profesional, pero en inglés. You know you have too much free time, says the bridge, when you spend 2 hours before the ProBoh Show searching for Western-facing places. Yeah, that's too much free time. Mike says, good morning, dear Bohemians. There's a cool festival in Asturias. Here we go, Dan, another holiday recommendation. A cool festival in Asturias, the Prestoso Fest, with bands like Axolotes Mexicanos. I don't know Axolotes Mexicanos, but I
know
do.
them.
You do?
Yes, I have a photo with the singer.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, there you go. The Prestoso Fest in Asturias. Dude, do we not have the best goddamn audience in the world who come and give us suggestions live? You are the best, guys. Yeah, and you can see the eclipse in Asturias, I believe. Sadly, the eclipse... no. Sorry. No, here we go. Sadly, the eclipse won't be seen in Madrid, says Mike.
Oh.
So there you go. You get the train up to Asturias, where I'm pretty sure... I mean, yeah, don't mark my words, but you go check out the festival, check out the eclipse, come back to Madrid, culturally and scientifically enriched. There you go. Shall we see what's coming up in today's show? Why the hell not? Friends, we are continuing the topic of education or schooling, really. Today, as voted for by you, all these unpopular opinions, courtesy of you guys who voted on my Patreon account. Today we asked our 100 humans to name something that isn't taught at school, but should be. Nombra algo que no se enseña en el colegio, pero debería enseñarse. Something that isn't taught at school, que no se enseña en el cole, but should be, pero debería enseñarse. That's for the benefits of all my friends out there learning Spanish. Of course, you can do that on comoestas.co.uk/masterclass. Anyway, and our unpopular opinion today is children should be grouped by ability, not age. That's the one you voted for today. Children should be grouped by ability, not by age. Los niños deberían agruparse por capacidad, no por edad. Interesting. It's a tough one today, I think. Because I think both things have very clear advantages, don't they? But before we get into that, let's get into some news. We were actually talking about employment. Our beloved receptionist popped her head into the studio today to say good morning, didn't she, Dan? And I mentioned that Spain is experiencing the lowest unemployment rate in something like 18 years. And I remembered reading that this morning, but was unclear as to where. I now know it was on Reuters. Spain's unemployment rate falls to 9.87 in the second quarter, the lowest in 18 years. But I mean, it's worth mentioning, right? Even though 9.82 is the lowest in 18 years. It's still really goddamn high, man. Because I was saying, like, how can that be? Because I didn't really have a grasp of the numbers this morning when we were talking about it. How can that be when I know personally so many people who are struggling to find work? Well, 9.8 is high unemployment rate compared to the to global and European averages. I think the European Union average is about 5.9 or to 6.2. Obviously, that's driven up by countries like Spain with bad unemployment figures. National standing ranks among the highest jobless rates in Western Europe and industrialized OECD nations. So yeah, there you go. But it is a little bit of good news there on the horizon for Spain. Hopefully, that'll be driven down even further. I think maybe this is a consequence of the cost of living crisis. People just desperately taking even extra employment, perhaps, or taking whatever they can. Which a lot of people would argue is the way it should be anyway, right? Anyway, let's see. Sadly, the eclipse won't be seen in Madrid. That was Mike. Brilliant. Just sorted out dance holidays for him. There you go, dude. Thanks, Bohemians. He's in there laughing right now. Artemisa, good morning. Rob, Dan, and the Bohemians. Good morning, Artemisa. How are you doing out there? So, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of good news. I didn't want to deep dive into that, but what I did want to have a look at was something that is very much linked to unemployment. An article from Fortune from a couple of days ago. The CEO of the top-rated hiring platform says the job market is so bad that candidates are paying $20 to mass apply and driving bosses crazy with spam. I can vouch for the fact that I get CVs on the daily from people in audiovisual or just finishing audiovisual carreras, higher education, looking for work. And also, you know, I do know that when I was looking for help and I posted something, Jeezy Louise, the amount of CVs I got was shocking. Of course, I'm very lucky to have two very dedicated and amazing producers, so I'm not looking for anyone. But you can feel the desperation out there. El CEO de la plataforma de contratación mejor valorada dice que el mercado laboral está tan mal que los candidatos están pagando $20 para enviar solicitudes en masa. That they're paying $20 to mass apply. Y están volviendo locos a los jefes con spam. And they're driving bosses crazy with spam. Let's get into this. This was again from fortune.com. AI is making the job market worse for everyone. Candidates exhausted by ghosting and endless applications are now paying for tools that can automatically apply to hundreds or thousands of jobs. But employers are drowning in the flood. Yeah, I mean, we tend to think of the employment crisis as it pertains to AI as simply being replaced, right? But there is another aspect to this. There is another side of this, another facet of this problem, and that is when it comes to applying. If you're like me, and if you're looking for a job, like me, what I would do is sit down, pour through LinkedIn, pour through the job pages, info jobs here in Europe, things like that, and manually apply to the things that look interesting to me, right? That's what I would do, someone of my age. But of course, the more savvy younger people right now are just flooding every job with AI automated applications. How do you compete? And how do you as a boss, ignore or pick out the good candidates in a flood of what is becoming spam? Greenhouse CEO Daniel Chait says the result is an AI doom loop. Applicants, un bucle de... I don't know how you translate doom. How would you translate doom?
Desolación, maybe.
Yeah, un bucle de desolación, desolation, doom. Maybe one of our amazing bohemians can help us out with that too. But I like, bucle de desolación. Sounds apocalyptic. Applicants use AI to mass apply. Recruiters use AI to filter them out. And both sides become more frustrated. Greenhouse says each job on its platform now gets an average of 254 applications, with applications per recruiter up 412%. Jeezy Louise. To fix the problem, the company is testing ways to make genuine interest easier to spot, including a My Dream Job feature that lets candidates flag one role a month as their top choice. The wider lesson is simple. When everyone uses automation to game the system, human signals like real intent, networking, and personal follow-up become more valuable. You're looking for a job out there? That's some pretty good advice. Real intent, networking, meeting people, and personally following up become incredibly more valuable. Let's see. Carmen here says, maldición del destino. There's no accurate translation. Fatalidad. Un bucle de fatalidad. Maybe. Anyway, thank you, friends. Now, let's jump in to our unpopular opinion.
Unpopular unpopular opinion.
Sorry, I kind of glossed over that good news for Spain, the unemployment rate dropping, the lowest in 18 years, but still incredibly high. I will post that on my Patreon for you all to dig into. Anyway, let's get into it. Children should be grouped by ability, not by age. Los niños deberían agruparse por capacidad, no por edad. Is age a good measure of readiness? Probably and possibly not, right? I mean, one of the advantages of grouping by ability might be that teaching can become more focused. Advanced students would be less likely to become disengaged by studying things they've already got a good grasp on. Students that are struggling would receive appropriate support. And progress might become more meaningful. You know, isn't progress more meaningful than a birthday? When you were born, you know, the rotation of the earth, or should you be measured by, by your ability? Of course, there is another side to this. Children need peers for social development. Like a 9-year-old does not navigate the world in the same way as an 11 or 12 or 13-year-old. If you're a parent, you already know that. You know, ability grouping can harden inequality, can't it? Labels could become identities, and that might be dangerous. And also, not to mention, within a peer group of the same age, stronger students can and often do help weaker students. Círculo vicioso. That's like a vicious circle, a doom loop. Yeah, okay. I'll buy that. Mike, can we get Mike a nivelazo? Thank you. That's good.
Vaya nivelazo.
How do you think people voted on Instagram? I'll repeat it for you again, Dan, because I went off on a little tangent there. Children should be grouped by ability, not by age. Los niños deberían agruparse por capacidad, no por edad.
I think they voted false.
You think they voted false? They voted by a narrow margin true. What do you think?
I completely think that it's false.
You completely think that it's false. Strong feelings. Why so strong?
Because try to tell two kids from the same age that one of them is cleverer than the other and not to make discrimination.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, kids are mean. Because we tend to think of this in terms of, oh, well, you know, if you're younger but more intelligent, then, wow, you skip ahead. But what about the kids that are struggling, that have to move behind? And you've got an 11-year-old in the same classes as 9-year-olds. Imagine the kind of bullying they're going to get by the peers of their own age. Yeah. And isn't a function of school also to teach social interaction, to ready them for the outside world? I don't know. I don't think, yeah. Of course, in the outside world, you could argue that people are grouped by ability rather than by age, aren't they? But in many modern businesses, quite often the length of time you've been in a company will have you advance further and higher than the amount of ability you're bringing to the table. So it's a tough one today. It's a tough one today. I'm kind of with Dan on this one. I'm a bit of a false too. Understanding how vicious kids could be and the inequality that might be driven there. Yeah, I don't know, but I can see some amazing comments already appearing in the chat. Do continue. You know, we get to those in the second half of the program. But right now, true was the winning vote, so we'll get into the pro column, agreeing that children should be grouped by ability, not by age. Age is a poor measure of readiness. Children of the same age can differ enormously in reading, math, language, concentration, and emotional maturity. Grouping them together assumes that development happens on a fixed timetable, when in reality some are ready to move ahead and others need more time. Yeah, but ability isn't fixed either, is it? A child who struggles at one stage may improve rapidly. Something becomes more relevant to them, right? and they improve rapidly. By grouping too early, you can turn a temporary setback into a permanent label, I think. Teaching becomes more focused. A teacher can pitch lessons more accurately when students begin from a similar level. This reduces the need to simplify material for some while simultaneously creating extra work for others who have already understood it. Let's not kid ourselves, no group is completely uniform. Even students with similar test results may learn differently, right? And the ability grouping can create the illusion that one lesson will suit everyone. And that's simply not the case. There is a whole spectrum. Even if you're at similar ability, it doesn't mean you learn in the same way. I mean, how far would we fracture kids? You know, groups of kids learning together. Advanced students are less likely to become disengaged. Children who repeatedly wait for the rest of the class may become bored, careless, or embarrassed about showing enthusiasm. Grouping by ability can give them the pace and challenge needed to remain intellectually engaged. Yeah, okay, to offer some kind of a rebuttal to this one, I mean, accelerating academic work could come at a social cost, right? A highly capable child can still feel more comfortable and emotionally secure among children of the same age, right? I mean, how comfortable is that 9-year-old going to be when all his peers are 2 or 3 years older than him? You're creating a far more prescient social issue in my mind. Perhaps. Let's do one more. Struggling students can receive appropriate support. Student who needs more time can learn without the constant pressure of comparing themselves with faster classmates. A slower pace may allow them to ask questions, practice fundamentals, and rebuild confidence. Yeah, but let's ground this in reality. Lower groups can easily acquire lower expectations, right? Well, I'm in the lowest group, no point making an effort. Once a student is placed there, the teachers may offer less demanding work, peers could stigmatize them, and the gap can widen even more rather than close. Right? I mean, what happened to that old adage to shoot for the stars, apuntas a los estrellas, and hit the moon? Right? Anyway, let's get into the cons now, where, let me just refresh. It was 42% of people voted false. Okay, here we go. Children should not be grouped by ability. Children need age peers for social development. School is not only a place for academic instruction. Children learn friendship, conflict, identity, humor, and social boundaries largely through relationships with peers at similar developmental age. I mean, look, I guess to offer a rebuttal here, just because someone's of the same age doesn't mean they're maturing at the same time, right? We all know kids. You can speak to 2 10-year-olds. One will act like an 11-year-old and another will act like a 7-year-old, right? Socially. And children already interact with different age groups in families and clubs and sports and communities. So perhaps maybe not the most valid of points there. Ability grouping can harden inequality, which I think is where Dan and I are more focused on this one. Performance is shaped not only by talent, but by early support. Family income, language, confidence, tutoring, and access to books or technology. Grouping by ability may therefore sort children partially by advantage and then give the most advantaged students the richest curriculum. Do you understand that? Like if you are grouped by how do I put this in a way that doesn't make me sound like I'm turning this into a class issue, but I mean it really is. I'm showing my Britishness by making everything about class, aren't I? But still, if you have a better access to a better income, a better fluidity in your family when it comes to income, your parents speak a certain way, confidence, you have access to books, technology, tutoring, you're already going to be further down that educational ladder, aren't you? Aren't we just widening that gap by grouping by inequality, grouping by ability? We'll finish off here. Labels can become identities. Children quickly notice who is considered clever, average, or weak. Once placed in an ability group, they may begin to interpret difficulty as evidence of who they are rather than something they can overcome. And I have personal experience in this, I think, that I might share with you in the second half of the show. But anyway, right there are your pros and cons, my friends. I will place a poll in the chat. Children should be grouped by ability, not by age. True or false? Los niños deberían agruparse por capacidad, no por edad. I'll ask you to vote, and when we come back from the break, hopefully we'll be reaching some kind of a consensus on this one. All right, guys, I can see your comments in the chat. Do fill that chat up with your own ideas. I would love to read them when we get back from the break, and I will see you in a few short minutes. Hey guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. That's patreon.com/professional bohemian. There you'll find VODs of the episodes as they are recorded live, blogs, vlogs, and behind-the-scenes content. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can do so on twitch.tv/professional bohemian, and you can participate in the polls we use in the show on Instagram @professional bohemian or Twitter @ProBoh, ProBoh. Okay, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's now 9 a.m. on this beautiful Thursday, 30th of July. Here we are, still live with the ProBoh Show as we plow through this summer with amazing, interesting content. You still have time to vote, my friends. Children should be grouped by age, by ability, not by age. 6 minutes left to cast your vote. We are looking for some kind of a consensus that one of these two opinions wins. So true or false, get yourself to twitch.tv twitch.tv/professional bohemian. And what do we look at in today's show? Dude, there's an amazing comment here from the bridge. I was not going to read it, but I have to. I was thinking, She says, yes, Rob, you managed to make a positive piece of news sound negative. You wouldn't be Spanish by any chance. Just give me my citizenship right now. That's the clearest indication that I've been in Spain for over 20 years. Yeah, Spain's unemployment rate has fallen to 9.87, almost 9.9% in the second quarter, the lowest in 18 years. But then I went on to say, yeah, that is low, but it is lowest here in 18 years, but it's still incredibly high. The European average is between 5.9 and 6.2%. That's the broader EU and Euro area average. So it's still incredibly high, but yeah, it is lower. So I should focus on the positive. So well done, Spain. Aye, Bridge. You know me too well at this point, I think. And then we covered, another way that AI is impacting the labour market. Possibly not the most obvious. Of ways. We tend to think about how automation is replacing people, right? But another way it is affecting people is by the automated application of positions in the job market. A lot of candidates are paying $20 to mass apply, and just basically driving employers crazy with the amount of spam they're getting. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like I did mention that I get the odd CV through on a day, maybe one, maybe two. I do look at them and do my due diligence, but I'm certainly not looking for anyone. You know, and I don't have any job positions posted. So these are people just acting out of pure desperation. Poor guys. Not surprising. 9.89. Is it? Was that right? Did I get that right? Yeah, 9.87. Sorry. Unemployment rate in Spain. But this flood of applications are just making it incredibly difficult to pick out the people who are actually showing a genuine interest. Fortune here, the authors of this article, suggest, when everyone is using automation to game the system, human signals like real intent, networking, and personal follow-ups become more valuable. So let that be a lesson and a piece of advice to everyone who's looking for employment. And then we moved into today's unpopular opinion. Oof. Keep on voting, friends. Only 3 minutes left. I would like to get to a place where we have... there we go. where we are swayed in a particular direction. It's an interesting one today. Children should be grouped by ability and not by age. What do you think? Los niños deberían agruparse por capacidad, no por edad. There's a lot of nuance to this argument. I think the debate is really about whether education should optimize learning or preserve a shared childhood. Is that right? Is that what this debate is really about? Ability grouping begins from the idea that fairness means giving each child work suited to their present level. But age grouping begins from the idea that children are developing as whole people. You know, they're fresh out of the oven, folks. They're not the people they will become, right? You know, they're not just a collection of academic skills, are they? We're looking to create well-rounded human beings in school, not just a collection of academic skills. Didn't you all vote at the beginning of the week that school shouldn't be about creating employable people? It should be about creating, well-rounded, civic-minded people? I mean, I think one prioritizes instructional precision and the other prioritizes social continuity and belonging, right? I think that's where the crux of this debate belong. There's also a conflict between recognizing the difference and creating a hierarchy. Like, children clearly do not learn at the same speed. And pretending otherwise, it can just frustrate everyone involved, right? From parents, teachers, institutions. But the moment schools organize those differences formally, they run the risk of turning variation into status and making children believe that their place in the system reflects their permanent worth, which was my case when I left high school. Well, when I was asked to leave high school, let's be honest. And I didn't shake that ghost off until I got to university and discovered that I wasn't as worthless as I was painted to be at school, and developed a real love of education. I mean, the issue becomes particularly or especially difficult because ability is partially real and partially produced. Let's not kid ourselves. Some children advance quickly because of aptitude, true, but others benefit from stable homes, early education, tutoring, confidence, or teachers that expect them to succeed. A system designed to reward readiness can accidentally end up rewarding privilege, I think. So there's a lot to take on this. I imagine, Dan, your vote hasn't changed, right? You're still a false.
No, I'm still a false.
Yeah, I think I'm still a false too. I've yet to read anything so compelling to really shift my needle on this one. The vote is now finished. Surprising vote, my friend. Surprising, but we'll continue. Let's continue. All right. Gigi says, grouping kids only by ability can make them feel uncomfortable if the age gap is big. Besides, it is a form of segregation, and kids placed in low ability groups might feel that they are useless. Yeah. I mean, look, within age groups, people are often grouped by ability. And I was in the lowest class for everything. I left school with only two GCSEs. In woodwork, which we called CDT, Craft Design Technology, and in art. And then I made it to university and I got one of the highest degrees in my year. So what's missing? There's a part of the puzzle missing, isn't there? But is it the case that because I went to a poor school and I had a difficult situation, that I was dumb, or is it simply a question of privilege and socioeconomic status producing people of a certain inclination? Carmen says, I think they should be grouped by age and skills rather than ability. Age gap can bring about more problems than advantage. Yeah. I mean, look at the character of Sheldon Cooper. Isn't that a perfect example of a kid who is smart but socially malformed because they skipped so many years at school? I mean, I know I shouldn't be pointing to fictional characters to prove my point, but still, it's interesting to consider, right? Artemisa says, I'm leaning towards false overall, but I think there should be some flexibility. Most children probably benefit from being with peers their own age, but exceptional cases exist. A friend's son is highly intelligent and has always felt out of place with his classmates. Ironically, he seems much happier and much more accepted when he's with older children. For kids like him, grouping by ability could actually reduce isolation rather than increase it. Yeah, but if we accept that one thing can be true, that one kid should go and be with children of a higher age group, then we have to also accept the other side of the coin, right? And you've got older kids being forced to study with younger kids and carrying that stigma around with them for the rest of their lives. Although it's a point well made, Artemis. I mean, it's a struggle to argue with you there. Vero says, true, children's education should not be based on their biological age, but their mental age. Some elementary school children are significantly more intelligent than children older than them, or even some adults. Yeah, but then look, are we talking about something that would stress an already stressed educational system? Now, before you enter school, you have to go through this psychological, social evaluation to see where you're at on the maturity ladder. I mean, just thinking about it pragmatically sounds difficult to me. But there is obviously some truth to what you're saying, Vero. You know, I mean, the difference in maturity in some children is staggering, right? You talk to one 9-year-old and they feel like an early teenager. You talk to another 9-year-old and they feel like, you know, are you actually in school? That's kind of mean, but you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, kids mature at different levels, and certain children are just more primed to academics than others. I mean, maybe what Carmen says here about skills rather than abilities, maybe that's true. I mean, it seems to me something that the new British Prime Minister is looking to address. It seems to me education prioritizes academics rather than skilled labor, right? If a kid is, like I was at the time, shown more ability in woodwork and art, surely that should have been explored more in my school so I didn't get left behind. But then, look at that, I ended up getting into university and I started to excel. So who really knows where the truth is? Is it just that kids are not being properly engaged in the classroom? And maybe a solution to that lack of engagement is because they're segregated by age and not by ability. I mean, I'm saying that as devil's advocate. I think I'm still false on this argument. But am I a false because that's the way it was when I was a kid? Or am I a false because that's the truth? I am, as always, constantly aware of my own biases. Yeah, anyway. Mike says there could be better students with ability grouping rather than age grouping, especially in high schools. I think kids would handle it. I mean, most workplaces have a variety of age groups. Why can't schools? It's also very hard to argue with that, isn't it? You get into work and you're forced to work with people that could be decades older than you. You know? But because you share an aptitude in a certain area, you both got the same job and you're working in unison with someone who may be decades older than you. Yeah, and if we're talking about preparing kids for the real world, maybe that's just a reflection of the real world. I just worry I just worry about the social development of a kid who skips out on being forced to work with their peers, people of a similar age, I guess. But still, I mean, I find all the true arguments that you're giving me here quite compelling, if I'm honest. All right, let's get into some comments I received on Instagram. Soren Lindholm. Soren says, I think it makes sense. Kids learn at different speeds, so teaching everyone purely by age can hold some back while leaving others behind. I mean, you can't deny, though, a certain stigma. Like, I was in the lowest group for everything. I'm a relatively good communicator now, which has led to me having this job and even teaching communication for a long time. I'm a good communicator now, but no one who knew me in my school years would have said that. I could barely write. Yeah. I don't know. I just think you're creating a stigma that is very hard to shake off. Most of my friends shared my socioeconomic level, or the socioeconomic level of my family, didn't go on to live the kind of life that I have lived. A different kind of life, perhaps not better, perhaps not worse. But those classifications, they stick with you for the rest of your life. They become a label. And unless you do what I did, which is remove yourself from anyone that knows you and start again, then that stigma will be with you for the rest of your life. Yeah, I'm falling back into the false now. Natasha says, I'm not convinced mixed ability classrooms teach patience. Okay. Get that Nivelath, that ProBoh approved finger ready, Dan. I'm not convinced mixed ability classrooms teach patience, teamwork, and empathy alongside academics. Let's give her Natasha Byron ProBoh approved, please.
ProBoh approved.
Yeah, let's not pretend school's just about academics. You know, we all said, didn't we? Not Dan and I. But you guys all said that school should be about creating well-rounded people, not great workers. And I think a part of being a well-rounded person, might be just a question of having to have the patience to work in teams with people of a lower ability than you, learning empathy with those people, or practicing empathy with those people of a lower ability. Oh, Natasha, you've entrenched me in the false side again. Thank you. Christian, spelt with a Z. Age is just an easy administrative shortcut. Yeah, which is true, I think. It doesn't say much about what a child is actually ready to learn. Yeah, but I mean, can we blame an educational system that is already underfunded and stressed when it takes administrative shortcuts that may also play to the benefit of the students, as we said before, Natasha's point, teaching patience, teamwork, empathy alongside academics by forcing kids of different levels to have to work together. And we'll finish off with this one. Elodie says, ability grouping could help academically, but it might also create labels that children carry with them for years. Yeah, I feel like I kind of agree with that. But what about you guys? What did you guys say? So I made the statement, children should be grouped by ability, not by age. And you guys said... It's 50-50. Bless him. He wanted an applause. Go on, Dan. Give us a take two. There it is. You're almost on holiday, Dan. You'll come back fresh. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, there you go. 50-50. I'm certainly a little happier with that, I think, than where Instagram landed. 58% true. I think maybe the real solution to this is or the real answer to this in some ways is in the area of grey, that perhaps there lives a happy balance by grouping kids of the same age by ability, which already happens in schools, doesn't it? Which is refreshing, because quite often we're here decrying the educational system, but maybe they're getting this right. Children shouldn't perhaps be held back by their age, but neither should they be defined by their current ability, right? Because that will change over their lifetime. The strongest system would group flexibility by subject, it would group flex in a flexible way by need and by subject, while protecting the social bonds, right, that working with your peers may have the same. You're more likely to share a level of maturity with people of your own age. More likely, perhaps not every case, but more likely. And making movement between those levels normal, so it doesn't end up becoming a label, right? Oh, well, I was in the lowest class, now I'm in the medium class, and if my trajectory continues, I'll be in the top class next year. The danger is not recognizing that children develop at different speeds, but I think turning those differences into destinations is probably where the danger lies, right? But anyway, friends, I think we'll let Bridge have the final word here. She says, I believe children need to be grouped basically by age, but from there moved out separately to different subjects. Yeah, that is probably where that nuance lies. All right, friends, you know what Grandpa Bo would say about all that, right? He'd say, Rob, that's just your opinion, and opinions, they're like buttholes. Everyone has one. They all stink, including mine. So let's move on to today's 100 Humans. Oh my God. It was a long walk to work today. But on that walk, I encountered 100 humans, and I asked them all a question. Today's question was, name something that isn't taught in school, but should be. Nombra algo que no se enseña en el colegio, pero debería enseñarse. I asked them that question. They gave me their answers. I'm in possession of the top 7 answers. Your job in the audience is to identify those top 7 answers. All right. Dan, something that they don't teach in schools, but should.
How to do financial taxes.
Yeah. Financial literacy, I think we'd call it. Yeah. Educación financiera, quizás. Yeah, something that I'm still useless at. Perhaps if they'd have given me more of an insight in school, I wouldn't be so lost or number blind as I've become. Is financial literacy there? Educación financiera. Did anyone on Instagram? Financial skills, says Ivan GP. A part of a bunch of answers from Mia was financial education. Ivan Samrov says financial education. Athul Dan said financial education. As a part of more answers, Gabrielle said financial, basic finance. Is it there? Yes, it is. Well done. And friends, Dan, it's the number 1 answer. Well done. Financial literacy. 28 of 100 humans said that. Well done. Number 1. By the way, big thank you to Gabriella, I think. Sorry, Gabriella. Africa, Ivan, Samrov, and GP, Asul Dan, Anna Kasan, Arancha, many others. Thank you all for interacting. All right, let's dig into our friends in the chat. Home repairs. Yeah, we should normalize repairing things, I think, because that seems to have fallen out of the zeitgeist. Is home repair there? No, it's not. She says home. Gigi says home and car repairs. Both great answers, but neither there. Empathy, says Vero. Empathy and emotional intelligence, which are very, very linked. Not there, Vero, not there, but good answers. Gigi, here she goes with first aid. Primeros auxilios. First aid, is it there? Yes, it is. Well done. Well done. Carmen says emotional intelligence as well. Vero says self-awareness. She also says stress management, conflict resolution. Okay, look, Dan, I know you hate it when I do this, but if we squish all those together, we might have mental health, right? Salud mental. Is that there? Yes, it is. Well done. I'm sorry, but we squish all those together. We have mental health. If you can, deal with stress and you're taught to be empathetic and a better person. Anyway, so let's continue. First aid is where we left off. Emotional intelligence at Carmen, self-awareness. Tachygraphy. What's tachygraphy, Dan? Do you know?
To learn how to write on a keyboard.
Tachygraphy.
Isn't that great?
While you were talking, Dan, I was sneakily doing a search. Shorthand, stenography, and the general art of practicing rapid writing. Tachygraphy. So not exclusively on a keyboard, but just fast writing in general. Tachygraphy. Thank you, Artemisa. Great answer. Is it there, though? No, it's not. Wham, wham, wham. Here, Mike has one that I completely agree with. Media literacy. I think, is it Estonia that actually teaches media literacy because they're bombarded with, I don't know if it's Estonia, it's one country, because they're subject to so much propaganda, they teach media literacy in schools. Media literacy, great answer. Is it there? No, it's not. Wow, you guys have some amazing answers here. Communication, says Vero. Is communication there? Habilidades comunicativas? Yes, it is. Well done, Vero. I should pay some mind to the people on Instagram as well. Respect people of all ages, good behavior, life, says Africa. Morals, ethics, and environmental care, says Gabriela. All very good answers. Driving, says Gigi. Shorthand, says The Bridge, which is tachygraphy, I think. Communication skills. Critical thinking, says Artemisa. That's there. Well done. Yay! But as I was reminded by my good friend Dan, we have to get to the answers. You missed two today. In position number 7 was communication skills, habilidades comunicativas. In position number 6, pensamiento crítico, critical thinking. In position number 5, cooking, cocina. You missed that one. In position number 4, taxes, impuestos. In position number 3, first aid, primeros auxilios. In position number 2, salud mental, mental health. And finally, in position number 1, financial literacy, educación financiera. Guys, that's all from me today. I'll be back again tomorrow. Love you lots. Be careful and see you next time.